Shalom. Kal halayim la, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Wadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who still rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and safety to the Lord's elect scattered throughout the four corners of the planet Earth, mainly in America, pushing His truth and humility and sincerity as commanded by Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name from the world ignorantly called God. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name from the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ. Kal halayim la, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who still rule and teach well. This is from End Time Headline. It's a quote. It says, "I'm glad that Christian parents let their children worship the devil at least one night out of the year." End quote. Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. And the day that he's referring to is Halloween, which is witchcraft that they call it Halloween because the word hallow means holy. And there's nothing holy about Halloween. It's an unholy, pagan, satanic ritual day. Okay? It's a high day for the left-hand side. It's not a high day, a holy day for us. It's not a day that we exalt as followers of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. Halloween is not a day that we exalt. The scriptures speak about how one man... Let me get a precept real quick. Oh, come on. Sirach, chapter 33, and verse 7. Why doth one day excel another? This is a question. When as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun. By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished. So it's by the knowledge of the Heavenly Father is a day exalted. So you know whether to exalt a day. Like if the world is exalting a day because it doesn't stand on the principles of the Heavenly Father, you're obviously not going to exalt that day. Okay, in your mind, this day is just an ordinary day. Sirach 33 and 8. By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and He altered seasons and feasts. Some of them have He made high days and hallowed them. See, the word hallowed means made holy. They're high days. Halloween is not a high day for us. Passover is a high day for us. Okay, Easter is not a high day for us, which goes back to Ishtar, pagan idolatry. The whole concept of Easter, the eggs and the rabbit, it all goes back to pagan idolatry, the god of fertility, Ishtar. And so that's a knowledge that's on the left-hand side. That's a satanic knowledge. That's not the knowledge of the Lord. So we don't exalt that custom. But Passover is in the Bible. The Bible tells us to keep the Passover. How to keep the Passover? In remembrance of Yahweh Shai, His sacrifice, His rising, and everything. And His crucifixion. Sirach 33, verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished. He altered seasons and feasts. Some of them have He made high days and hallowed them, and some of them have He made ordinary days. So the day that the founder of the Church of Satan is referring to is Halloween, which goes back to Samhain rituals. And notice on his satanic symbolism, his satanic emblem, it has the Hebrew. It has the Yah character, it has the Tha character, it has the Wa character, and I can't see what the other two characters are. So it shows you that these devils know that you need the Hebrew. That's the language of the heavens. And that's the language that these devils use to summon them demons. And you're attracting demons by doing these rituals. You understand? This is how you summon demons, by doing these rituals that are rooted in pagan idolatry. And this is the great deception in the earth. And I want to read a precept for that deception, because this is a great deception in the earth. These holidays, which has people in idolatry, a lot of them unknowingly, but now that we're at the end, most of you know. Most of you know, you've heard, somebody done told you that it's pagan this or pagan that, and you either never thought to look up what does pagan mean, or you know what pagan means and you don't care. Colossians 2 verse 8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach, the anointed. So you have to beware, because there are subtle tactics used by the so-called white man's power structure system. You know, there are subtle tactics that he uses in his system to trap you spiritually. But if you're of the elect, you're gonna see through the deception and understand the truth. Now, Halloween, which like I said, it should be called unhalloween because it's not holy, goes back to Samhain. Samhain rituals. I typed in Samhain rituals bobbing apples because I remember growing up in the Christian church, every year around Halloween we wouldn't dress up in costumes, but they would have a festival at the church and they would be doing various different games, and one of the games that you would play was bobbing for apples. Bobbing for apples is a Samhain ritual that involves dipping your face into water to try to bite an apple without using your hands. The tradition is thought to have originated in Roman times when the Romans brought apple trees to Britain and merged their celebration with the Celtic festivals of Samhain. So this is a ritual that involves bobbing for apples. Now let's keep reading. Apples were a symbol of fertility, abundance, and immortality to the Celts. The Romans associated apples with the goddess Pomona, who represented orchards and harvests. Okay, because remember, Samhain also celebrates the harvest. It also celebrates dark times, because this was said to be. It said one thing that I read. It said that Samhain represented the beginning of the dark half of the year. You see, so it was a celebration of the beginning of dark times, dark spirits, evil spirits, and you would wear a costume. The costume, the more scary a costume was because you were trying to ward off demons. They thought that a scary costume would ward off demons. But really, it was just attracting demons. You wonder why you keep running into demons, because you keep being wrapped up in idolatry. It says divination. Young people would bob for apples as a matchmaking game to predict who would marry next or who their partner would be. The first person to bite an apple was said to be the next to marry. You see? And so they had kids. Like I said, I was maybe 6, 7, 4 or 5. They have any age bobbing for apples. Whoever, you old enough to do it, you want to do it, they'll have you bobbing for apples. So it was a form of divination. In one version, the bobber would try to bite an apple with the name of their suitor. The number of tries it took to bite the apple was said to indicate the fate of the relationship. So I guess if it took too long for you to bite the apple, that means y'all wasn't going to last. To fill a bucket or tub halfway with slightly cold water. Now, there was one that I read. They're not showing it. Because Esau, I noticed they changed the search results. You'll type in the same thing and then you'll get different results. But I also read that bobbing for apples was symbolic of them seeing into the future. It was symbolic of them. Let me type that in. Seeing into. which they kind of touched that with, you know, who they would marry next and how long the relationship, you know, that was all the divination of bobbing for apples. Now let's just type in Samhain rituals just so we can move forward. Because the scriptures, and I'm going to get the scriptures because the scriptures speak about how you're sacrificing your children to Satan. Because if I go back to this post, go to the comment section, you got this Issacharite woman right here. Oh, please, 95% of people who preach this kind of judgment still listen to worldly music, swear, gossip, and so on. Well, being a busybody, yeah, that's against the scriptures. You know, gossiping and stuff like that. Listening to worldly music, that's not a sin. You know, swearing, using rude speech, that's not a sin. Okay, but worshiping Satan, idolatry, okay, that's definitely inexcusable. You know, and I bet she's a Christian. You know, I bet she's a Christian because when you go to other comments, you know, she's basically saying like, well, we all sin this and that. And that's true. We do all sin, but we are to, as scripture say, try to offend less day by day, which we are to try to offend the Heavenly Father less, you know. So we walking in ways that are pleasing unto him. Now, so listening to worldly music, that's not a sin. Okay, swearing, using rude speech is not a sin. Gossiping is a sin. But there are sins that are worthy of death, and there are sins that are not worthy of death. And being a busybody, a gossiper, that's not worthy of death, unless you're lying on somebody who is, and you're saying that they need to be put to death. So you got Christians, and the people, they posted Ephesians chapter 5 verse 11, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. And that is what we are supposed to do. Excuse me, getting excited. And actually, let's get a little window. Let's roll up the window. So it says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. Fires, ancestor altars, food for the dead, saucers of milk, graveside rituals, sitting under a hawthorn tree, Wiccan rituals. Samhain to Soul Mass. This was posted one day ago by BBC. The pagan origins of familiar Halloween rituals. You see that? Pagan origins, meaning this is what it was originally, this is what it was. And this is what it still is, because you're still doing the same customs and practices. It says, with its goblins, goosebumps, and rituals from bobbing for apples to dressing up as vampires and ghosts, Halloween is one of the world's biggest holidays. It's celebrated across the world from Poland to the Philippines and nowhere as extravagantly as in the U.S., where in 2023, $12.2 billion was spent on sweets, costumes, and decorations. So you people are all wrapped up in this idolatry. And like I said, you see the woman was in the comments defending making her children to pass through the fire. And so starting with the elders and apostles, they've been telling you about these holidays, these different satanic rituals. The apostles was the ones going into that. The apostles was going into the secret societies. None of these other groups was going into that, man. None of them had the heart. And they still don't go into it, man. We the only ones that speak on these devils, these true devils that's behind closed doors in secrecy, also known as the Illuminati, okay, the top international banking families. We the only ones that's really testifying against them and testifying against our people. 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 13, and I'm going to go down to verse 17. Yet the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers, that they did not believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua their power. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahweh had charged them that they should not do like them. Right, pursuant to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 2, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. So we aren't to learn the ways of the heathen. Verse 16, and they left all the commandments of Yahweh their God, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worship all the host of heaven, and serve Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters, Baal is the devil. And that's what you're doing. All of this is happening again today. The thing that had been is that which shall be, and that which is done, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. That's clearly written in Ecclesiastes, the 1st chapter. So this idolatry that we're reading about is still going on to this day in different forms. It says, no, you're not going to bow down to a statue now. You're not going to bow down to a statue now, but rather you're going to bow down to the image that the system is pushing. Verse 17, and they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire. This is what it means to cause your child to pass through the fire, putting them through these different pagan rituals, putting your children through these different pagan satanic rituals, okay, and calling it fun, okay, and calling it, saying it's for the kids, okay, when your child is going to do and honor what you want them to honor. 2 Corinthians chapter 17, as long as the father and the mother is on the same page about it, the child is going to honor what you want them to honor. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. 2 Kings 17 and 17, and they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divinations and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. So they use divinations. Bobbing for apples is an example of divination. Now you see this woman dressed up as a damn worm, looking stupid as hell. Now I'm going to go into the article just a little bit. Celebrated usually from October 31st to November 1st. Samhain. So Samhain was celebrated from October 31st to November 1st. What day is that? That's Halloween. The religious rituals of Samhain, pronounced Samhain, meaning summer's end, focused on fire as winter approached. Anthropologist and pagan Lynn Bayliss tells BBC fire rituals to bring light into the darkness were vital to Samhain, which was the second most important fire festival in the pagan Celtic world, the first being Beltane on May 1st. Samhain and Beltane are a part of the Wheel of the Year, an annual cycle of 8 seasonal festivals observed in paganism. So you are clearly observing this pagan holiday Samhain when you celebrate Halloween, which falls on the same night, and it's a part of the 8 seasonal festivals of paganism. So paganism is the actual religion. They done formed a religion of no gods. It says Samhain was the pivotal point of the Celtic pagan New Year, a time of rebirth and death. Pagans had 3 harvests: llamas, harvest of corn, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, and also they would kidnap children, and they would sacrifice children during these times as well. I don't know if this article is going to go that deep into it. I doubt it, because this is BBC, so I doubt they're going to get too gritty with it. But they also would sacrifice children, and that's why you would trick or treat, meaning they would trick or treat, and when you come to the door, they would kidnap you. Trick or treat, give me something good to eat, all of that, man. It's all rituals. Bonfires. In some areas, people will walk between 2 bonfires, sometimes with their livestock, as a cleansing ritual. They would also take the flames from the bonfire back to their homes. People create altars in their homes with photos, mementos, and other items to remind them of their loved ones. They may also offer food or drink and other offerings to their ancestors. food for the dead. Some people make food for the dead along with offerings of sweets and ales. So the trick or treating, the candies is actually supposed to be food for the dead. And you are spiritually dead when you participate in the trick or treating, okay, because you don't know the Heavenly Father. Okay? So you're the spiritual dead. You're the ones that were not awake to the truth. If you're trick-or-treating, I'm going to read that again. Food for the dead. This is a part of the Samhain rituals. Some people make food for the dead along with offerings of sweets, Snickers, Kit Kats, paydays, peppermints, along offerings of sweets and ales. In Highlands and Ireland, people leave a saucer of milk out on Samhain night. Graveside, that goes back to on Christmas. They do that on Christmas. They leave a saucer of milk, a cup of milk for Santa, which Santa, the letters that's used to spell Santa is the same amount of letters that's used and the exact letters that's used to spell Satan. It says graveside rituals. People stand in front of the grave, center themselves with 3 deep breaths, and say a plea to Hecate, the goddess of the night, magic, and mother of the dead. So people went to, you best believe it was some Edomites and some Jakes going to cemeteries last night, standing in front of a grave and chatting to the God of the dead, man. These people still do these things to this day. Wiccan rituals. Wiccans meet in sacred circles to perform rituals that may include meditation, invocations, movement, music, and prayer. So they gave a little bit, but they didn't really go super deep into it. But it's all good, because it's all idolatry, and the point has been made. Now I'm gonna read the closing precepts. I already read Colossians 2, but also, come on, I read that. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Second Corinthians chapter 10. Maybe it's 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 21. Verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils. You're in a Gentile state of mind. The Gentiles were Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. When you read the scriptures, they were Hellenized Jews, Hellenized Israelites, Hellenized descendants of the 12 tribes of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who the Gentiles were. And you still have. And so today, as I was saying, I'm going to make this a part 2. I might just, or maybe I edit the clip and combine them. But you still have Gentiles caught up in idolatry to this day, sacrificing to devils. Hellenized Israelites, Americanized Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Westernized Israelites, okay, worldly, not even just America. If you follow the ways of France, whatever the French system is giving you, if you wrapped up in the ways of India, if you're of the world, if you're after the rudiments of the world, you're a Gentile. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to the Most High. We read that in 1 Kings. I told you. So even in Paul's time, it was still happening. It says they sacrifice to devils and not to the Most High. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. So you can't participate in these worldly holidays and then, call yourself a follower of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. But you celebrate every holiday of the world. You can't do that. The Heavenly Father said in the book of James, you can do it, but you're not going to be accepted. You have to do better. This James chapter 4, verse 4, ye adulterers and adulteresses, Know ye not that friendship of the world is enmity with the Heavenly Father? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. So if you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of the Most High. So like I said, the world has, you know, holidays for you to celebrate every year, every month, on the month, you know, and people mark their calendars and they promote everyone. When one passes, they immediately take down the decorations for that one and they put up the decorations for the next one. You know, you can't be a friend of the world. You know, you so caught up in the world that you haven't even, you're not learning of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, man, who's going to save you from this place that is going to be destroyed. See, the world is going to pass away. 1 John 2, verse 15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doth the will of the Most High abideth forever. So the world is going to pass away. Halloween, this shit is not going to be in the kingdom. Ain't going to be no damn Halloween in the kingdom. You know? You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and at a table of devils, man. You can't celebrate Halloween, you know, or have a desire to celebrate Halloween. But like I said, you call yourself a man of the Lord. You know, you call yourself a woman of God. You know, you say it's for the kids. No, it ain't for the kids. It's so that you could worship them devils, you know, because if you didn't want to do it, you would stop doing it. So, Lord, let's edify just a quick hit. Call me Shalom.